afternoon and welcome to another edition of The State here on Wesleyan Television. Always what we've been discussing over time are issues on the trend of public discourse bordering on politics, governance, economics and whatnot. But this afternoon we're going to take a brief deviation. I wouldn't even want to call it a deviation because sport is also an essential aspect of national life. This afternoon we are focusing and going to dwell excessively on the senior national team, the Black Stars of Ghana. We'll take a breather. When we come back, the details.
Sorry, not sure.
Wake up to a purposeful day.
Get ready for a transformational morning experience.
Sorina Shrine is here to build our spirituality, mental and physical well-being.
Through positive, inspiring actions and stories.
We bring you exciting activities and conversations that develop us as a people and as a nation.
We take a look at the trending issues in Ghana and the rest of the world.
And we also review the impacting stories from our local newspapers.
Every morning, we bring you stories of hope, change, and renewal.
We empower you through the Word of God and provoke you to live the purposeful life destined for you.
Join us, Anita Kwako
and the Reverend 𝗟𝗑𝗪𝗘 Monday to Friday from 5:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. as we take you on an inspiring journey, live and exclusively on WTV.
You may also join us on Facebook at WTV Ghana and on YouTube at Wesleyan TV Ghana.
Sorry, not Shrine.
Wake up to a purposeful day.
Sorina Shrine is brought to you by
Danwell Insurance, Multi-Credit Savings and Loans,
and the Methodist University Ghana.
It's Green Ghana. Methodist Church Ghana is actively participating in the Green Ghana Day. We are committed to plant trees across the country.
It's that time of the year again. But this year, 2024, we are coming with a bigger bang. I want to thank you for your active participation in the past years in the Green Ghana program. This year, we are as well planting again. Last year, the performance was not well because we did not have a flow of planting materials, which can be explained. But this year, we've been promised that the best will come out. I have arranged with the Forestry Commission nationwide, so you could go to any Forestry Commission closest to you to fetch this thing from them. We are continuing with our system, which was built by the Methodist Church, the pick, plant, and nurture. So where we open up for persons to pick from our stand offices and then some selected societies and then plant, and then we encourage that we nurture them to the end. Green Ghana this year will be launched by our presiding bishop as usual, and then we roll it out through the whole country. We are this year introducing the Creation Care Month. So the whole month of June is the Methodist Creation Care Month. We are starting with the tree planting, and then I want to entreat all Methodists to do something at least to help God's creation. I mean, tell a friend to pick the rubber is dropped, desilt the little drain in front of your house, sweep where this thing, put some small water on top of a tree, plant a flower, keep our surroundings clean throughout this month. Gradually, we start as Methodists, and then we'll be infecting our colleagues in other denominations and then persons who are non-Methodists. I'm entreating all our coordinators to make sure that they supervise what goes on in all our circuits and then report on them. Since this is a month-long celebration, I want to entreat all agri coordinators in all dioceses to forward weekly, if I can get what you are doing, what you've done the previous week, and what you plan to do in the preceding week, so that we can be reporting accurately on our performance as a denomination. Now, I'll be joining our colleagues in 𝗧𝗵𝗲𝗏 and then in 𝗧𝗵𝗲𝗏 to observe the month. I will start in 𝗧𝗵𝗏𝗏 and end in 𝗧𝗵𝗏𝗏. So, all Methodists, I entreat you to actively participate in all activities that are going to be rolled out. We are going to roll out, formerly we had the eco clubs. Now we are turning them into creation care clubs. So we'll be going through our schools, our youth groups to introduce this creation care club. And I entreat every Methodist to participate in it. There's a small way of doing something to protect creation. Let us all actively participate in this glorious activity. I call it glorious activity because God appointed humans as stewards of the world, and we have to be good stewards. And doing this, you become a good steward for nature. Thank you, all Methodists.
God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong. Those are the timeless words contained in the country's national anthem, and they reflect our aspirations and our determined objectives as a country. So we do not only pray for economic stability at every given point, we are also concerned about other aspects of the country, and that certainly includes sports. And that is why this afternoon we're going to have a very enthralling conversation on the senior national team, the Black Stars of Ghana. In case you're wondering why I've adorned myself this way, well, yesterday the senior national team were able to pick all 3 points in enemy territory, beating the Malians by 2-1. The implication of that victory is that their chances at qualifying for the next World Cup have been heightened. But away from that, what really are the prospects of the senior national team in general? Apart from that brief spell of victory, what is really the prospects lying ahead for the senior national team? Before we delve into the gravamen and the cracks and the dinkum oil of that conversation, let's see what we have on W Briefs this afternoon, because we want to tell you a bit more about the team before I introduce my guest. And so the Black Stars is effectively the senior national men's football team of the Republic of Ghana and 4-time champions of African football in 1963, 1965 and 1978, as well as 1982. For many of us, I'm not sure a lot of us were born around this particular time, the last time the senior national team won a major trophy, and that has become an issue of concern. That from 1982 up to now, we've not really had any major laurels. The team has also qualified for, apart from the glories on African turf, the team has also qualified for 4 FIFA World Cup tournaments, and this were in the year 2006, 2010, 2014, and the much recent one, 2022, with the best performance being a quarterfinals berth in 2010. Let's stay a bit more on this because of the event that happened in 2010. Of course, everybody remembers that famous penalty miss by 𝗟𝗵𝗏𝗧𝗏. It was a Friday, I remember, and I do recall that I think back then, I think we had an all-night in church. I played jazz drums, so I came very early. At the time I arrived, nobody had come, and the all-night actually delayed because I'm sure people were still nursing their wounds. Indeed, it's one of the, if you like, emotional cracks that a lot of Ghanaians have not necessarily recovered from. So 2006 to 2010, 2014 and 2022. But quite interestingly, in 2010 we missed a penalty against Uruguay. In 2022, when we felt that we had an opportunity to redeem ourselves, Dede Ayew would give us another 𝗟𝗵𝗏𝗧𝗏, if you like. We'll delve into all of that later, but let's move on to the facts on the team. Now, the Black Stars have, however, been a great source of joy and equal measure of disappointment to the nation following a streak of inconsistent performances on the field of play. And this can be affirmed by how the team has performed in recent times. Of course, we saw their latest performance during the just ended AFCON, or let me say the AFCON in January. It's one that a lot of people were not particularly excited about, especially how we exited. Let's not just talk about the pain. Let's move on, because I don't want to mess up your Friday. So that's the senior national team. Now, the team indeed, like we have indicated earlier, has been without a trophy since 1982, meaning if you are less than 42 years, you are yet to witness the Black Stars lift the AFCON or any trophy. That's so, should I say embarrassing or painful? Maybe we can use both adjectives together, because indeed 42 years of a trophy drought, that's a big deal. So yes, I may be wearing this jersey. Yesterday we won. I'm sure everybody was excited. But when it comes to the laurels, the glory of the game, really, the Black Stars for 42 years have not had anything to celebrate about. And the poor performance of the team has often resulted in the dismissal of coaches. So at any point when we do not do well, the gaffers or the managers will be asked to exit the scene. In the last 7 years alone, the team has seen the exit of 5 different coaches over poor performance. I'm going to show you all of these managers who have been shown the exit door in recent times. So first is 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗃. Now, he had the opportunity to lead the senior national team between April 2017 to January 2020. And he was at the quarterfinals of the AFCON in 2019. And actually, that was his best performance in that respect. Then came 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗃 Akono, as many people know him. He led the team between January 2020 to September 2021. His best performance was a 40% win rate in 10 matches. But in all of this, for 42 years, no trophy. Then came Milovan Radovac. Now, he led the team between September 2021 to January 2022. His best performance in that respect, I mean, during that period, was exiting from the 2021 AFCON group stages. That was particularly embarrassing, I must add. Then came former Ghanaian midfielder 𝗬𝗏𝗧. Now, when Ghana in 2006 appeared on the global scene for the very first time, 𝗬𝗏𝗧 wore jersey number 20. He was part of that squad that actually represent Ghana in 2006. He led the team between March 2022 and December 2022. His best performance, of course, was his qualification to the 2022 World Cup, and he exited that same tournament at the group stage. So that is the man, 𝗬𝗏𝗧. For you. After 𝗬𝗏𝗧, then came this fine, should I say old or young man, who everybody thought that, okay, he was going to wield, I mean, it was wielding the magic wand to transform our fortunes. Chris Hughton, he came in February 2022 and he exited in January 2023. His best performance, of course, was qualification to the 2023 AFCON, and then he exited that same tournament at the group stage. Indeed, the vitriol and the lambasting alone was so much. Then 𝗬𝗏𝗧 came back. So I like to describe him as the returnee coach. So will 𝗬𝗏𝗧's second return to the team be any different from the first? Don't forget that we've seen him before. Now we are seeing him yet again. And quite a number of individuals in the space. I mean, pundits and connoisseurs of the game have asked a lot of questions that what motivated his return? Is it the case that we were out of options in the very first place? So the big question we're asking this afternoon is, coaching really the bane of Ghana's football, or something else is wrong somewhere, or something is indeed missing somewhere? We'll take a breather. When we come back, I introduce our discussants and we get into the gravamen of this afternoon's conversation. Don't go anywhere.
Praise God, praise God. Christ in tea, you respond, yeah, addition. I'm excited to announce to you, friends in the Lord, are you seeking for a platform where you can pray? Open baby up a soul bomb pie. Now ninyami edi inkita home. Bibi chiro so. And I'm maybe not the same kum. And you're coming home. Let's go into the prayer room on WTV every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. to meet seasoned ministers of God that God has raised to impact your life. Remember, John Wesley said, I have too much to do, therefore I spend several hours in prayer in able to do it. That is why we are calling upon you. Meet myself, Reverend Hosea say, and the Evangelism Mission Renewal Directorate as we lead you into the prayer room where we encounter Christ. And I believe your life will never be the same. Call your friends or loved ones every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. where we will encounter Christ. God bless you. See you on our screens on WTV every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. God bless you.
That each and every
Ago, Ghana for Mama Dada yo. Let the dead number. Dead spices are running in every Jasto. And you never know yet.
If we come your job, we no use dead spices. We don't go job. I don't feel.
Taste the inside. Yeah, the natural spices, Papa Pana.
Everywhere you go, dead spices.
Just the
spices.
The Lord tasting a chicken.
Kaji go. But dead spices here what Jenny say. Nanya good taste. If we say yeah the natural spices and yeah Ghana hey Annie you want all purpose stew, noodles, curry and nutmeg and a jollof. Dead spices taste yummy, taste lemon. Dead spices taste gay inside. FDIG a good in Kratoya.
All right, if you're just joining us, this is the state here on Wesleyan Television. Don't forget that we're also live on YouTube and we're also streaming on Facebook as well. This afternoon, we're going to have a very important conversation. I choose to characterize this engagement as a very useful one because it borders on a very important subject. Indeed, the issue of sports is at the pulse and the heartbeat of the nation. That is why sometimes when the Black Stars do not give up their very best, we do hear and understand that some people are not able to have their meals and some even become hypertensive in the process, because that is simply because sports is really very important. So this afternoon we're going to focus on the prospects of the senior national team, the Black Stars of Ghana. Don't forget that they are lacing their boots to qualify for the upcoming FIFA World Cup. In 2022 they were there. 4 years on, they still want to be part of the competition. All right, and then so we want to go into all of that, and away from that we want to also go and get into the general outlook or future of the team in that particular regard. But if you're somebody who is interested in education, or you're somebody who has aspirations of wanting to further his or her learning, then certainly Christian College University is the place for you to be. Christian Service University. Now, Christian Service University, if I have to give you any brief on them, is an evangelical liberal arts institution established 50 years ago to train men and women with ethical values for transformational leadership in Africa. Now, the admissions for the 2023-24 academic year is already in progress for undergraduate and postgrad programs as well. So if you're somebody who has not had a feel of undergraduate studies, this is an opening for you. If you've already had that experience but you want to further, this again may constitute a chance for you. Now, CSU offers dynamic academic and industry driven programs in nursing. So I'm basically taking you through what is on offer. There is nursing, midwifery, business administration is also on the menu. Communication is also part of the items, as well as planning and computer science. For more information, you can contact the admission relations officers on 02462. I'm sure we'll display these numbers on the screens later on in the conversation. 02462753754 or 024-015-4825. Alternatively, you can reach them on 0244-596603. The website is www.csu.edu.education. They describe themselves as the university of choice. And so if you are interested in having, advanced tertiary education or having a feel of education outside of senior high school tutelage, that is definitely the place for you to go. And they are proudly associated with this particular program and sponsoring it in that particular respect. But now, let's introduce our discussants for this all-important conversation. Joining us in studio is 𝗧𝗵𝗪𝗘. He's a sports analyst as well as a pundit. Eugene, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Right. What informs the choice of a green outfit? Is it in any way connected to, today is Green Ghana Day. Yesterday, the Black Stars also did very well. Do these two events have an impact in
possibly. I didn't think too much of it. It's just my feel-good attire I wear on Fridays, just to look good. I just local print for as my Friday wear. But I would agree that these two feed into the narrative. For the narrative. Yeah.
All right. Felix Remark is a data sports analyst, and he's joining us via Zoom. Hello. Good afternoon, Felix.
Good afternoon, guys. Am I audible?
Hello, Felix.
Yeah, am I audible? Can you guys hear me?
Hello, Felix. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you guys. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, the connection is now loud and clear. We are happy that we are able to have you as part of this afternoon's conversation.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you guys.
Right. Also joining us is 𝗧𝗵𝗪𝗘. He is a sports journalist with Love FM as well as Inshira FM. I should say a former colleague, but back at the multimedia group. Fifi, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Hi, Kwesi. I'm great. How are you too?
Yeah, the feeling is good. As you can see, yesterday we didn't, of course, give a very good account of ourselves, but we had the maximum points. So I should say that I'm doing well in that respect.
Yeah, it feels good to be back in winning ways, and then getting the all important win aways. It's a good one.
Right. So these are the three gentlemen, I beg your pardon, who are going to be part of this all-important conversation regarding the prospects and the future of the senior national team, the Black Stars of Ghana. I want to start off with you first, Fifi. The Black Stars won clearly 2-1 yesterday in Mali, but a lot of people have raised concerns about the general play and performance of the team. The sentiments have been that in as much as they were able to secure the maximum 3 points, the play was not necessarily impressive. Do you share in that opinion as well? And what is your general, if you like, impression about our outing yesterday in Mali?
Well, Kwesi, thank you very much once again. Sometimes you cannot really fault fans when they say that they want good football. But trust me, the same fans will tell you that they wanted 3 points if we had played just good football. So I think that the conversation of the Black Stars should be had in the context of where we are, where our football is, and where we are going. To be very honest, yesterday about 90% of our team was just 25 years or less. Just one person started that game, that was 30 and more. And it tells you that just by basics of data and age, we are in a transitional period. It's a new Black Stars look. It's a new manager, of course. I mean, the second coming of 𝗧𝗵𝗪𝗘, but in the context of what we want to do, it's a new manager. And then definitely in terms of performance, it was always going to take time. But in the last few competitions before this game, the 10 games that we had played, we had won just 1. We had lost 5 and drawn 4, which wasn't good. And the spans of 2 African Cup of Nations that we had played in, which was shambolic by the standards of Ghana football. So in the context of all of those things, the fact that every day, like you said in your intro, we sat behind our TVs, we saw Ghana lose after loss after loss for the Black Stars, lose game after game, and then not getting the results that was needed. Again, even away from just the results that we're not getting, a lot of Ghanaians also complained that there wasn't that commitment, there wasn't that fighting spirit that the Black Stars have been characterized of since time immemorial. So yesterday, seeing the Black Stars going to a dreaded place in Mali, mind you, Mali are one of the best countries on African football terrain as it stands now. From the 17, from the 23 to the senior national team, they are spot on in development and talent identification. We have had a stop start in terms of our football development. Going there and then not playing football, which I grant everybody that makes the argument, but then showing character, showing grit, showing tenacity, and then fighting. I don't remember the last time where Ghana came from a go down to play like this. So yes, the football wasn't the best. The football can be better. The coach alluded to that at the end of the game in his post-match presser when he said it was just a 50-50 game. We just had quality, and then we showed that our substitutions were good, and we made wise decisions in game, and that's how we won the game. But essentially, this is a good step in terms of building a Black Stars. It helps in the confidence. It brings goodwill around the team that they need, and also gives the coach some breathing space to prepare his team towards other bigger things. So for me, whilst we didn't play well, I think that the 3 points was the most important thing for the game.
Right. Felix, do you also share in that particular sentiment that, well, in as much as we did not play well, we garnered the most important thing on the table, the 3 points, and therefore the critics should not be as loud?
Well, let me start by saying a very good afternoon to your viewers and afternoon to Fifi also. I totally agree with what Fifi said. This is a team that has struggled. This is a team that is in transition. A team that lacks consistency both in the technical department and in the playing body as well. So for us to go to Mali, a venue where in 9 outings we've never gotten a win, I think that we should be happy with the results. And let's be very honest with ourselves. When you are playing the World Cup qualifiers, you don't need to be exceptional in all the games that you play. You have to be very pragmatic. The most important thing is that you win your home matches, and then try as much as possible to pick at least 7 or 6 points from the away games. And I think that apart from the Comoros game, I'm sure that if Ghanaians were offered the opportunity to get 6 points from a possible 3 games, they would jump at that. I was very, very impressed with the way we played the last 15 minutes of the first half and the way we finished the game. So I think that is something that we really can build on as a very useful team. This team is not up to the standard we want to. I think that if you look at the Black Stars from way back when we qualified for our first World Cup in 2006, we've had a transitional period, and every national team go through that phase. So you look at when we had a team from the Under-17 World Cup in New Zealand, where we had 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗬𝗓, Michael Essien and co, Derek Barton and co, playing in Under-20 World Cup in Argentina. That was in 2001. These same players, were in that transitional period. They qualified Ghana to the AFCON in Mali in 2002. They failed to make AFCON in 2004, but we still gave them the opportunity, and they were still in that transitional period. And then they qualified Ghana to the first World Cup in 2006. And then their time, I think after 2009, some of them faded away. And then we had another period where the Andre Ayew, the Dominic Adia, the 𝗬𝗵𝗃𝗬𝗓, Jonathan Mensah, and Samuel Nkum and co came in. So this is the time where I feel that we are getting a new crop of players, and we need consistency. And I think that I love the fact that we have a coach who has been given a very long-term deal, a coach who I think, if you look at the profile of players that we have, can get something out of them. We shouldn't put a lot of pressure on the boys. I'm sure that if we were told that you are not going to play better in Bamako, but you come back to Kumasi with 3 points, we would be glad to take that. And I'm happy that our qualification is back on track. We just have to be consistent and win home matches and I think that we can still qualify as top of the group.
Right, so that's Felix Romack there. He's a data sports analyst, sharing his initial impressions on the Stars game yesterday. Let's now come back to you, Eugene, in studio. We've already had, out of studio conversations on this particular matter, but now formally and properly, your impressions on the game. 2-1. We bagged all 3 points. Qualification is very much being in the offing for us. Do you think that the critics and the sentiments are justified?
I have been a fan of two managers, 𝗧𝗵𝗲𝗘 and Carlo Ancelotti, and they don't particularly give you the best of football you would want, but they give you the best of results. So I've always subscribed to the best the best results, so the win over how you get your win. And I think we need to put this win into perspective. I think this is one of the, as I think Fifi spoke about, this is one of the few times I've watched a Black Stars game where we've seen a comeback in a match. I think it's been long since we saw that. Also, this is the first time in 2 years that the Black Stars have won an away match. We've played, since 2022, we've played about 11 matches away from home, and we've lost almost all of them. This is the first time we've won. The last away win for the Black Stars was at the World Cup, where we beat South Korea by 3-2. Now, on the African continent, the last time Ghana beat a side away from home was in October 2021, where Ghana beat Zimbabwe by 1-0, Thomas Partey's free kick. So to come into a new reign of 𝗧𝗵𝗘𝗘 again, and for us to win away from home, that's good. And remember, in African football, playing away from home is very, very difficult. If you study the terrain, it's very, very difficult. If you even look at the results yesterday, Senegal drew at home to DR Congo. Sometimes I remember a time Senegal also went away to Togo and drew a goalless draw in Togo. So the African terrain is very, very difficult in away games. And I think what we've done so far, so good, 6 points from a possible 3 games is very good. And so far, I think if we continue the way we are doing, I think we will go for it. Because I think what it is about 𝗧𝗵𝗘𝗘, I noticed about efficiency, making the best out of what he has. And I think so far, from what he did yesterday, it's clear that his reading of the game is apt. His in-game changes were apt. He did things that show that given the time and space, he's building a team that will be difficult to play against.
Right. Closely related to the victory of the Black Stars yesterday is Jordan Ayew. I mean, he was the one who put the smile on our face by kind courtesy of that strike in the dying numbers of the game. But away from Jordan, I mean, the man that we are celebrating, I want us to talk about his brother, because that conversation has also been on the table. I know that as sportsmen, you've had your bites, perhaps on various platforms or on your individual mediums. But Dede was not in the team, and the concerns have arisen that even if there's the need for the skipper of the side to be phased out, it must not be characterized by harshness and hostilities. I mean, you do not ask him to stay away. You could have brought him on board and maybe limited his playtime. Do you buy that argument that you think that, well, because 𝗧𝗵𝗘𝗘 did not play him, but he's gotten the results, I mean, it's all fair and good?
This is a very difficult question to be asked on TV, because particularly because what I can tell you for a fact is, I think that has been tried in the past, but it didn't yield the best of results. So this was the most respectful way it had to be done. I think, if not for nothing at all, to travel all the way to France to have a conversation with him, that's indicative of respect. I think also African players need to look at planning their careers very well, such that they plan their retirement and how they face off from the national team. I think they don't help themselves in that regard. Let's look at Toni Kroos and the way he's facing out his career. He's announced that he has ended his Real Madrid career. He ended on a high, winning the Champions League. The fans were actually begging him. Ancelotti spoke about that in his post-match press conference, about the fact that if Kroos changes his mind, they would accept him. He's announced also that this Euros will be his last performance for the 𝗵𝗏𝗃. Remember, he actually retired once, and this coach had to, Julian Nagelsmann had to beg him to come back. So it's indicative of the fact that he has planned his career and he wants to go out on the high. But for African players, I realize it's very difficult for them. They don't plan their careers, and so they live in a situation where they are struggling for game time in their class, and they are not the big players we know them to be, and so they are good for the bench, and they would not accept that, and so it becomes a bit of a problem with the coach, and then it creates a whole lot of issues. So I think Dede is a victim of that. If he had planned his things well, maybe we would not be in a situation, because it had been coming. Over the last 2 years, his game time for the Black Stars has reduced significantly. Certain times he has been on the bench, and I think what this means is a signal that Otto Addo believes in the youth. Now let's go back to the.
But if you believe in the youth and you want to, as it were, rope them in, I mean, it doesn't mean that those who are seasoned and experienced should be phased out with hostilities. It can be systematic, it can be gradual, so that at least there is a certain structure or form of mentorship in the very first place. They come, they learn some of the ropes from the seniors, if you want to put it that way. But if you, as it were, I mean, yank off a senior just like that, are you not even affecting the psyche and psychology of the younger ones?
I don't agree with you. I think this is the most respectful thing he has done for us. Let's look at the way 𝗓𝗪𝗏 was treated, and let's compare it to this. This is very respectful.
How was that treated?
No, to be given a general captaincy role and all those things, it smacks of a bit of disrespect, particularly from his side. And listening to him, the conversations he had with Kwesi and all those things, I just think that for Dede, there's a way we can look at it also. Let's look at the 2021 AFCON. Our exit, Dede practically had a hand in it. His performances, his red card against Comoros when we were struggling. Let's go to the World Cup. Remember, when we lost by 2-0 at first half against Uruguay, who did the coach take off? It was Jordan and Dede. It's indicative of something. The last AFCON, we were leading 2-0 at 89th minute. What happened? Who had a hand in all this?
It was an accident. I mean,
I'm just saying. So our last 3 exits from major tournaments, there seems to be a pattern
of his involvement
in our exits. So it's indicative of something. And I just and remember, when we were losing 2-0 and he brought on Bukhari and Kamaldeen against Uruguay, we saw the performance of the players. Instantly there was a change. So I just think it's a time where the pendulum of influence is shifting. The wind is blowing towards a different direction. Remember, Andre himself benefited from that. In 2010, 𝗟𝗪𝗏 Muntari was one of the best players in Europe. He was on his high horses, had won the Scudetto, the Serie A title, had won the Coppa Italia, and had won the Champions League. And he was benched for who? And the day who had practically just had was in his 3rd year in the Black Stars. That was his, I think it was his 2nd tournament in the team. After the 2008 tournament, he went to the AFCON, and then the World Cup was his 3rd tournament. I think Andre himself has benefited from such situations, and I think it's just natural that his time has come to an end. I just think that African players, they should plan their careers such that they even plan the way they face out to the team, so that they are given a farewell and they are given the maximum respect they deserve.
Right, so that we don't have to be perhaps having some of these conversations and situations in the first place. Felix, Dede are you? I'm sure that from where you said, you've had your bites on if you like, the treatment meted out to him already. But I'm part of the school of thoughts that believes that, look, even if you want to face him out, if you think that his shine is over and it's time for him to say goodbye, don't be radical and forceful about it. Do you share that opinion as well? I mean, can I count on you as a friend in that school of thought?
Well, see, when it comes to their youth, I have a very close personal relationship with them. I'm currently in my customized Jordan Ayew Crystal Palace jersey. So when I sometimes stop, people feel maybe because I'm in that camp. But I think that your colleague is not being fair to Andre. If you tell me that African players don't plan their career well, what must Andre Ayew do to impress Ghanaians? I think that he served the country so well in different capacity across different age groups. Andre Ayew doesn't call himself up for national team call-ups. It's solely the decision of the coach who calls him. This time around, Otto Addo respectfully drove about 7 hours to Paris to speak to Jordan. And for him to associate individual mistakes, in tournament to Andre Ayew, I don't understand why you would want to blame Andre for Ghana getting out of tournament when collectively the team did not play very, very well. Collectively, when there was no commitment from the side of the players that were at those tournaments. So I don't think it's been fair to Andre Ayew. You spoke about Tony Cruz. If you talk about managing careers, Tony Cruz on a personal level decided, I'm going to end my career and club career after the Champions League final. He did not determine whether it will end in the high notes by winning the Champions League. He could have even lost the Champions League, but he had a personal reason and said, you know what, I'm done with club football for Real Madrid. After the Euros, I'll pack my stuff and leave the German national team. I don't think that anybody will fault Cristiano Ronaldo for still playing football at the age that he is. We look at Andre Ayew. Andre Ayew, even when he wasn't active, was picked up for the AFCON. He came back in after AFCON somewhere in February, went to Le Havre, and he ended up being the top scorer for his club in the French League, even scoring more than 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗓 who started the season with Lyon. So I don't think that if you say Andre Ayew hasn't managed his career, I think that would be so unfair to somebody who believes in himself that he can play at a certain age. And he's playing active football. Look at the leagues that he's played in. Just last season, he was playing in the Premier League. How many players at his age can play in a very demanding league than the English Premier League? How many players can play at his age in the French League? So I don't think that your colleague is being fair with a comment about Andre Ayew.
But Felix, do you think? Yeah. Felix, do you think that he has, as it were, paid his dues and perhaps it's time for him to hang his boots? I mean, we saw him in, was it 2009? He captained the team, the under-20 side, to, that glorious feat. And from that time, we have celebrated him on a number of occasions. You don't think that it's time for him to, as it were, bow out for younger limbs to fill the squad?
I don't think so. I don't think so. And I'm very, very happy that Otuado said that he has not closed the doors on Andre Ayew. And knowing Andre Ayew personally, this is something that will even motivate him to go all out and play better, next season. And if you are retiring for club football, that is so demanding. If clubs playing in top leagues in Europe are still recruiting Andre Ayew to play for their team, club level, which is more demanding, how much more for a national team where throughout the year probably might play about 6-7 games. So I don't think that we as Africans have a way to attack players and retire them at their early age. We as Africans don't put in the right structures to give befitting end of career to footballers, and that is something that we need to put a stop to. Up to now, have we ever given Stephen Appiah a befitting, send off as a Black Star captain for everything he achieved for the Black Stars? That is something that we don't do. We have to start doing that. If you talk about Europe, they have so many ways of, appreciating the effort of players. You see when Rooney ending his career with the Three Lions, a game in Wembley, he comes up, appreciated, is giving a shield or a trophy. When was the last time we saw something like that happening? When a player has to retire from the Black Stars, it is either he's being pushed away by elements surrounding the coach or surrounding the national team. Even up to now, Asamoah Gyan, how well have we even celebrated Asamoah Gyan? I want to know, how well have we celebrated Asamoah Gyan? So yes, even if you want Andre out of the team, there are so many ways you could do it in a very befitting way. But so far as he's still playing actively, so far as he's still a Ghanaian, and I love the fact that Otuado said he still hasn't closed the door on Andre Ayew. New crop of players are coming. I'm sure Andre himself knows very well that, there will be a time where I need to step, aside. But let's start appreciating the effort that these players have given to the team across the years that they've served. You understand? And that is where I totally don't want to agree with your colleague.
Right.
You can't blame Andre for exit from tournaments when the entire team can take that responsibility.
Right. Felix, your point is well made. I want to now turn my attention to Fifi to pick his thoughts on the the temporary exit of Andre. But before I do that, Eugene, you've been smiling. You've been smiling, I mean, all the while he was speaking. If you want to react to Felix briefly, you have 2 minutes, then I go to Fifi.
So Felix is a senior colleague. Respectfully, also I've understood his point of view, where he's coming from, because of his association with him. I think maybe my point was misconstrued. Don't get me wrong, Dede is one of our top performers in the Black Stars over the last decade. The most appearances, the most goals in the AFCON, the most appearances even at the AFCON itself, most AFCON tournaments for an African player. But the question we should ask ourselves is Dede at the same level he was 10 years ago? Maybe not. I honestly, before remember I told you that I kind of understand
players decline in form. It's natural for them to decline.
You know, I remember I told you I don't agree with the timing of this particular decision, because I felt, coming from the kind of season he had, helping him have to escape from relegation, I didn't agree with the decision, but I understood where the coach was coming from. He just wanted to send a signal that he was starting with the youth from the beginning. So I'm not saying, I'm not agreeing with the coach, but I understand where he's coming from, and I'm not downgrading Dede's efforts. Dede has helped the country. He has been one of our most consistent performers, but I kind of understand where the coach is coming from. That it's time for the youth. It's time for the youth to also take over. And remember, he benefited from the same decision in 2010. That's the end of my argument.
When you say he benefited from the same decision, what exactly you mean? He coming in for Sule, or what exactly?
Sule at the time was one of our best players, winning the Scudetto, winning the Champions League, winning the Coppa Italia, treble with under Jose Mourinho, and he came and he was benched.
He seems to be saying that what you sow is what you reap. Tit for tat. That seems to be the character of your arguments, really.
Not exactly, but you know, that's life. Unfortunately, that's life. There will be a time where you benefit from youthful exuberance, and there will be a time where you will be at the receiving end of someone's youthful exuberance. And that's the vicissitude of life. At the time you are young, and your youthful exuberance will get you into certain places. At certain points in time,
someone else's phone will kick you out.
Exactly, and that's it.
Fifi, opinions are clearly sharply divided. Felix thinks that, well, we are not, as it were, treating Dede properly, if I have to put it that way, within the context of his temporary exit from the senior national team. But Eugene insists that, well, it's a matter of a cycle that meets everybody. It is your turn today, it's another person's turn tomorrow. Where do you stand in the midst of this debate?
But Kwesi, before Fifi comes in, I want to clarify this.
Right.
It is Ghanaian's reaction. For Otuado, he said he hasn't closed the door on Andre yet. So I don't want us to believe that he's been exited or axed from the team. But what I'm saying is Ghanaians should allow the coach to take the decision on Andre Ayew. And respectfully, we also have to agree that the coach drove almost 7 hours to France to personally speak to Dede, because he believes that he needs to show respect to his captain. He needs to have that discussion with him. So,
Felix, let me ask you this question.
Just to play the team.
Let me ask you this question. Does it not strike you that for Otuado to travel all that far to go and have a conversation with him about benching him or taking him out from some 2 matches? I mean, is it not too telling? Let me rephrase the question. I'm saying that, look, if it is just about the 2 matches, perhaps a phone call would have been okay. But to travel all the way, is it not indicative that, look, I mean, there is a bigger breakfast, if I have to put it that way, that is being served him? I mean, look at that. You live all the way to France. I suspect there is something bigger.
When you respectfully appreciate somebody's effort and contribution, I don't think he will just take a phone call. Otuado did the right thing. Even if he won't be calling Andre back to the team, Andre appreciates the fact that the coach came to me explaining his plans to me, that I've been appointed on a 2.5 year with an extension. I want to start building a new team, and I want to even go with the youth, but I will need your experience. Sometimes the experience itself might not be Andre's inclusion in the team. There could be moments where he will even call him on phone and say, you know what, I'm having some challenges. You understand? So he did the right thing by going to him and explaining what he intends to do with the national team. And I'm happy about that. See, Andre himself knows that a time will come. Physically, he might not be able to play for the team again. Physically, he knows he can't give that input that he used to give the Blasters. And then also, he knows that in terms of age, other youthful players will come and replace him. But I want to urge Ghanaians that let's allow the technical team to do it in a very respectful way. We shouldn't be putting pressure on the team and blaming the day and every. Let's be very honest. I don't think anybody has been attacked in the Blasters than the Ayu's family. And that's why I'm saying that we are being too unfair to them. They've contributed a lot from their dad to the sons. They've contributed a lot to Ghana football. And we should respectfully give them that. And then if you want to retire them, let's do the right thing. We have never retired players in the right way. And I mentioned Stephen Appiah. I even mentioned 𝗓𝗵𝗲𝗏.
Right.
We never retired them in a very respectful way. And we must start doing the right thing.
Right. Let me come to you, Fifi. Then we take a quick commercial break. Then when we come back, we enter another leg of the conversation. Fifi, I was making the point that clearly opinions are sharply divided between Eugene and Felix. Felix insists that, well, it's almost like a goodbye. No, I mean, Felix thinks that it's not the end of the road yet, but Eugene believes that we have drawn the curtains on Ghana's number 10. What do you think in the midst of this?
Well, thank you very much once again, Kwesi. So, Andre Ayew, and then just by the virtue of he having the name Ayew, you know that there is always going to be some form of controversy around him. And to an extent, I agree with what Felix is saying, that, look, our national team and how we deal with our leaders hasn't been right. But also, you can also agree with him in the studio when he says that, hey, most of our national team footballers, most of our players don't seem to have a plan for their careers. So it gets to the point where we can't even say, okay, at this point in time, we want to retire them. We can't even say that we want to retire our Andre Ayew very well. We can't say that, okay, this is the plan for you. This is the plan for that person. I strongly believe that Otto went to France to let Andre know that, hey, you're not going to be part of my team again. I strongly believe that. In fact, I've spoken to a certain number of people who believe that that's what he told him. But when he also came back to report to the FA's PR team told him that this is somebody whose father, himself, and the captain that he came before have been through the same situation. We need to handle it better. So if you listen to Otuado in that presser, he consistently says, I'm not calling Andre at this moment. Now you listen to Mr. Notagbe, who is in charge of the FA's PR. He goes to Joy the next day, says that, oh, Andre may be out of the national team, then realizes that he's saying exactly what the opposite of what the coach said before. Then he says that, oh, the coach said at this moment, so let's listen to what the coach said. So I strongly believe that the coach doesn't want to build with Andre Ayew, but it has to be done in the right way. And that's where Felix's point comes in, that, hey, regardless of whatever I think of Ayew, he has been a better steward for us than a lot of the people who done the jersey of the Black Stars now. He has been there for us from the youth level up till now. So we need to do it the right way. But in doing it the right way, we need to make sure that Andre Ayew also agrees. And I think that is where we are now. I think if you listen to the post of Fifi Taki, who is the publicist of the Ayew family, and then you listen to a lot of the information that's coming from the Ayew family, Andre Ayew doesn't want to lead the national team now, but it appears as if there's some element, or the coach for one, thinks that he doesn't want to go on with him. So the coach has to find a way to convince Ayew that, hey, you've done a good job for us. I think that is the end of the road for you. Let's do it the right way. Let this not be marred in a lot of controversy and then a lot of information that's not maybe true or not even be true. Let's do it the right way. So Ayew is just a huge political conversation. I mean, it's football, but very, very political. And I think that we need to deal with it well, else we'll have issues. And like Felix said, it is a conversation that we as Ghanaians generally are sharply divided. Everywhere that you go, people say, hey, let's do it the right way. You can't force him out. Why didn't you call him? I mean, there are points in time where you believe that, okay, why didn't we just bring Ayew in? and then keep on cautioning him and then telling him that in the next 5 games, in the next 6 games, in the next 7 games, you're not going to be here. So that he begins to realize that his time is now. Yeah. But then again, the coach is the coach's job, Kwesi.
Right. Fifi, just before we get to the other layer of the conversation, let me put this to you. If you were the manager of the team, if you had opportunity to lead and indeed, I mean, call the shots with the senior national team, were you going to keep Andre in the team as of now?
Well, as of now, I mean, I don't know. To be honest with you, it's a decision that I can't sit here and take. I can't sit here and say I'll do it today or tomorrow because look at this situation.
It's a hypothetical situation. I'm just saying that. Put yourself in 𝗧𝗵𝗘's shoes. You have an understanding of the talents at your disposal and indeed how well they all gel. If you were the man calling the shots, is he one of the people that you want to ask or you retain? It's hypothetical. You may want to. I just want to pick your thoughts on Andre generally.
I mean, if I were 𝗧𝗵𝗘, I think I'll go with the same decision. Let Andre go. Let us take the hard road, prepare, but let's do it the right way. Let's do it in a much more diplomatic way.
All right. So if we were to vote, if we were to, as it were, tally the opinions, we have four.
Fifi, I'm disappointed you didn't ask me that question.
Felix, you want to come in?
If I were 𝗧𝗵𝗘, I would say he should make decisions that best suit him. And if he thinks that I don't need Andre at this particular time, fair enough. But let's give Andre a befitting burial. If he's bringing somebody like 𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗵𝗏, 𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗏 served Ghana 15 years and the blaster, we equally need to give 𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗏 a befitting burial. Let's start doing the right things. Let's start appreciating players that have served us.
All right, Felix, that point is well made. So I'm saying if we were to tally the opinions or to aggregate them, I'm sure it is going to end 2-2 because I think it's only Felix and myself around the table. We are the only individuals who feel that, look, Andre may have become surplus to requirement, but his exits should not be characterized with maybe hostilities and controversies. But as for Eugene, it's clear. He would not want to have him. Fifi too does not think that, I mean, if he were a coach, I don't think he would want to have him. So basically, that's the wrap about Didier. I want us to talk about another player in the current setup because yesterday after the game I did see on X, formerly Twitter, and a number of other platforms that he was being heavily discussed. Then we wrap up with the future of the team. Mohamed Kudus at West Ham, fantastic. We've seen him a couple of times doing amazing things, really doing amazing things, but it's unfortunate. A lot of people made the point yesterday that Kudus was a pale shadow of himself, and some even have said that his commitment to the team was questionable. We shouldn't bring him on board again. I don't know what you think about this, gentlemen. Eugene.
Questioning his commitment to the team, I think is far-fetched, but I kind of understand where this is coming from. So I started noticing certain traces from 2022 where I noticed that certain matches were there when Kudus lost the ball. Sometimes his attitude towards tracking the ball was quite problematic. His body language sometimes was problematic. You know, a lot of times I watch body language a lot. When you're off the ball, what does your body language communicate towards the coach and towards the fans who are watching, the spectators? And so I kind of understood where this was coming from. There were certain times where we're under pressure in certain games, Portugal, Uruguay, we had lost the ball, maybe sometimes through a heavy touch of his. And the natural thing is you are expecting him to maybe track back a little, and you do not get that. But to use that to question his commitment, I think is far-fetched. Also, I think for yesterday in particular, it is because of how the Malians set up. Now, if you want to understand the Malians, Mali have very good strikers, very good midfielders, but not too excellent defenders. So a lot of their strength is in their midfield. And a lot of their midfielders playing very good teams in Europe. If Bissouma has, I think he has an issue with the national team a little, so he's off now. They have Amadou Haidara who plays for Leipzig. They have Lassana Koulibaly. They have very good players in the midfield. Now, what they did was they tried to take out our creative sparks, Thomas Partey and Mohamed Kudus. So by loading the midfield, those players were off. I studied that at most times, Partey would be in a triangle of 3 players marking him. Kudus also suffered that same thing. So the spaces within which he would have thrived at West Ham, he's not getting that. So that is why he was blocked. That is why you would think that he wasn't at his best. Also, there were 2 situations where he had the ball, and I think from what I saw, other players were in a better position where he should have passed, but he felt he had a clear shooting opportunity and he wasted it. But that's football, and that's it. Sometimes when you have a shooter, you just want to have a touch of the ball, do a few things, and then boost your confidence. That's it. I think in certain games, when the game is open and Kudus has his chance, we will see him thrive. But to go as far as questioning his commitment, I think it's too early. But I understand that sometimes when he loses the ball, he should track back a little. He should pass when other players are open, and I think all this will end.
Fifi, do you also share in that sentiment or that widespread critique that Kudus is excellent at West Ham, but when he gets into the national team jersey, then he becomes sluggish?
Oh, no, I don't. I mean, see, just by the mere fact that it is Mohamed Kudus and what he does for West Ham is huge, we automatically raise the bar for him when it comes to the Black Stars. But we have to understand that it's a completely different team. It's a completely different competition that we are playing in. Trust me, how we play on the African continent is so different from how the English Premier League and then the Champions League and the Europa League is being played. I look at Mohamed Kudus yesterday and I saw 2 things. It's the role in which the coach gave him, and then how he chose to execute it. That was the problem. I mean, and like Evans, Eugene said, if you look at the Malians, their game plan without the ball was a 4-3-1-2, literally congesting central areas. So even if Kudus starts from wide area and then comes inside, he's always going to lose the numerical battle. Every time Mohamed Kudus was on the ball, there were 2-3 Malians close to him. In fact, the cross that came off the foot of 𝗟𝗓𝗪𝗓 that brought the equalizer was from a Mohamed Kudus drawing 2 or 3 players to him. Now, if you watch this game from a point of view of a fan, you are not going to see that ability of him to draw 2 or 3 players to himself for that to intend to. The cascading effect was isolating 𝗟𝗓𝗪𝗓 for him to send in that cross, which was very important. And tactically, he played a crucial role. For me, it was a free-floating role for him to help him build up, because the Malians will win the numerical battle in central areas. But then our game plan was to win it in wide areas, and that's why we played in a 3-back to overload wide areas and isolate at the far side. And I think Mohamed Kudus was good. From the fan point of view, you can understand. But then trust me, Mohamed Kudus is very important. Questioning his commitment is a little bit worrisome in my opinion. I think these are some of the things that we should not be doing as fans at all. My biggest problem with Kudus is that sometimes he holds on to the ball for far too long. He has done it several times in Kumasi for me to see live. And then I think that's the only issue with Kudus when it comes to the Black Stars. But apart from that, I think that he has been solid. Yesterday was just a slightly above average performance, but then it doesn't mean that his commitments is questionable.
Right. So Eugene and Felix clearly think that, we are going overboard if we start questioning the commitment of Mohamed Kudus at this particular point. Felix, what's your take on this particular matter?
Well, do you have a Bowen in your team? Do you have a James Ward-Prowse? Do you have a Paqueta in your team? He plays in a different team with different profile of players. Let's build a team around Kudus. We shouldn't give him the pressure. Yes, I totally agree with Fifi, and that has been one of the problems that I've had with Kudus. And I've spoken to coaches that have had Kudus throughout when he wanted to be a footballer. And it's something that Kudus had when he was growing up, even at Right to Dream. Holding on to the ball has been one of his weaknesses. And if you watch West Ham, earlier in the season when he started playing for them, David Moyes had that problem with him. But now he releases the ball as quickly as possible. But then again, it is only Kudus that can have the luxury of doing whatever he wants to do with the ball. And I will still want him to be allowed that opportunity when he comes to the Blasters. The expectation is that he's doing quite well in the English Premier League. For me, he could be one of the best signings in the English Premier League. And for Ghanaians, a lot of us are watching the English Premier League. So they expect you to bring that form back into the Blasters.
Felix, not to cut you. No, not to cut you, but I mean, talking about Kudus, I mean, becoming a bigger sensation or a bigger item on the, I mean, in the EPL, where would you have him go if you were to advise him, or if he were to take a suggestion from you, apart from West Ham?
Well, I think that for me, he should stay 1 more year at West Ham, and probably I saw what he did in the last game against City. I could see Pep nodding his head. Maybe he could come in for him, probably to replace somebody like Jack Grealish on the right side, or maybe compete with how do you call it, Juku on the right side. I'm a Chelsea fan, would love him to be at Chelsea, but a certain Kovama as well. But I think that the Premier League is good for him to advertise his career 1 more year, and could move up to be at Arsenal or any of the top 4 teams. But at the national team, I think that we should allow him to be who he is. Apart from Kudus, I think that I don't see any creative spark, somebody that can hold the ball. I see Kudus, I see 𝗟𝗑𝗩𝗘. I see Kudus, I see the late Mohamed Polo. These are players that you need to give them, allow them to be who they want to be. I see Kudus, I see Eden Hazard. So we need to give him, allow him to be what he wants to be. Because when you restrict Kudus, you restrict the kind of weaponry he brings. And that is why I don't want Ghanaians to put pressure on him. And the kind of tactics that we play in the national team is different from what we play at West Ham. And we should also forget that the physicality of the African games, the quality of pitches as well. We have to consider all those things. So let's not put pressure on him. Let us allow him to be in himself. When it comes to the national team, he should play with the freedom that he likes. He should play with the freedom. If you talk about commitment, yes, maybe 1 or twice, I'm sure the coaches will tell him, hey, Kudus, I think your form is dropping. You need to pick it up. And for me, that can bring out the best in Kudus. We saw Kudus at the AFCON. Yesterday, he wasn't even bad. I think that he had quite a good game. And I'm expecting him to have a better game when we play Central African Republic on Monday.
Right. Gentlemen, we're getting into the closing embers of this afternoon's conversation. But for those of you watching home, don't forget that this program is brought to you live by Christian Service University. I said earlier that if you are done with senior high school and you want to have a feel of tertiary education, that is indeed an outfit you can consider, because the prospects and the benefits are enormous. In case you are done with your first degree or undergraduate studies and you need an enhancement in tuition in terms of academic expanse and learning, you can also consider the Christian Service University, because again they have the required faculty to make you a scholar and give you a bright and shiny career path. In concluding, in wrapping up, I want us to talk about the senior national team properly, the Black Stars of Ghana. So over the period, we've had a number of coaches managing affairs. We've had, 𝗟𝗑𝗩𝗘, he's actually returned to the team. There have been a lot of controversy surrounding even issues like the selection of players, how that sometimes the FA gets in the way. Yes, we have a victory. We had the victory yesterday. It appears we may, do some, like we call it in the local parlance, Takashi, and then finally qualify. But in the long term, the problems in the team, I do not think have been solved. What mechanisms or measures do you think we can roll out? And I would have each one of you mention or suggest at least 3 measures that you think that, look, if we started considering them, all of a sudden we would have the team bouncing back properly. In a minute each, of course.
I'm preferring solutions for the GFA. That's a big shoe to fill.
Well, you're a taxpayer, so of course, why not?
But I think 𝗟𝗪𝗘 has started on the front foot. I think so. We are seeing a rebuild where a lot of youngsters will be given opportunities. I think that's the first step. I think, and what's good for me is that even we have about 6-7 players who didn't even have some minutes, and yet we presented a good team. And I feel Iñaki Williams is not even around, a few players are not around, and yet we are doing things well. So I think all we need to do is that we need to give the coach, we need to relieve him of all the pressure. We should allow him to function as he wants, choose who he wants to. I wouldn't allude to those allegations. Once I don't have any fact, I don't have any evidence to back it, I wouldn't make those allegations. I just feel that as fans, sometimes we are not even in the top 10 of Africa, so we should our expectations we should reduce our expectations towards the Black Stars. Allow the coach to build this team around this players. There was suggestion to build the team around Kudus. I think we should build the team around Kudus and a few creative players as well, and a few pacey wingers as well, so that we can go for. We should build our defense. We should. Yesterday, I think Atizigi we did very well. I think our reading of the game, I think our coaches should look at that as well. Yesterday they did very well, but I think over time that's a problem. Sometimes you could see they were lacking in a few minutes, a few changes they made, and it had consequences. I think we should look at our selections towards the team. We should look at the in-game management of the coaches, and I think with these two, I think we will do very well. Right, Fifi, if you were to prefer any solutions.
I agree with you to an extent. First of all, we need to go the youthful way. We need to start looking at players that are young and then want to play for the Black Stars, and then build from there as well. So we are on that path right now. We have, like I said the last time, our 90% of the players that played against Mali yesterday were 25 or lower, and that's some good statistic. It means that it's a combination of an old guard and also a huge core of a very young team, which is good for us. Again, I think that going forward for the Black Stars, the GFA have done a very good job by giving 𝗬𝗪𝗏 the long-term contract. We were at some point in time where the government wanted something in terms of coaches and the GFA wanted something. Both of them have had their bites. This time we've given our coach 2.5 years with an option to probably extend for more, which is an important one. Giving 𝗬𝗪𝗏 the long-term contract gives him that security to build a team for us. So while we may not win the World Cup, while we may not even win the next African Cup of Nations, if we're able to keep these guys together, trust me, after the next World Cup, after 2026, we'll be in proper position to stake a huge claim to winning the African Cup of Nations. And if the fact that we've done those two things, then we have one more thing. The final thing is that in the national team, we need to make sure that we eschew all of those conversations of players not being united and whatnot. We should give them the free will and the space to do their job, and then allow them to thrive. Yes, constructive criticisms are very important for such an organization. But then again, we should support them and be there and hope that the Black Stars will give us the needed result that we've lacked for a very long time.
All right, Felix, already you've made the case that we should be very careful how we face out, those who have toiled for the team. At that point, you've already articulated it. But apart from that, in building the team, in ensuring that we have a robust, if you like, football infrastructure, regarding the senior national team, what else?
I think that first of all, we need consistency. And when we talk about consistency, I love the fact that the FA have started with that by appointing a coach and giving him a long-term deal. And I want to expect the consistency with the call-ups. So it is very, very important that we consistently call the same players, in fact, majority of them. Secondly, I think we need to build a spine. And when I talk about the spine of the team, let's have a goalkeeper, 2 central defenders, midfielders, and an attack. And when you build a spine, let's say about 7 players that are constantly in the lineup, and then any other players can join to form the starting 11. And I'm saying this because gone were the days when you could close your eyes and say, Ole Kingston will start in post. John Mensah and Bossa will be the centre backs. Adokwe Papo, John Pento, Sule Muntari, Michael Essien, Stephen Appiah, Razak Bimpon, probably Asamoah Gyan up front. And this is the consistency and the spine that I am talking about. So we need to be consistent and we need to build a spine. And aside that, we need to support the team. I know a lot of Ghanaians have dissociated themselves from the Black Stars. I have to be very honest with you. I was quite disappointed when people were calling me, oh, is Ghana playing today? What time is Ghana playing? Gone were the days you could walk in town, you could see flags that indicate that the national team has a game today. And when we are also supporting, we also have to be mindful of some of the things that we say. Baba Rahman says he's not playing because he feels that it's the abuse were too much. Look at the crowd yesterday at the 60,000 stadium in Bamako. We need to start filling our sport stadium to that capacity. When people come to the Baba Sports Stadium, anywhere Ghana is playing, they will see it as an intimidating ground. So I want to see consistency. I want to see us build a spine, and I want to see Ghanaians come, love, and support the team. And it should start when we play Central African Republic in Kumasi on Monday. We should come out and support the team. I know Ghanaians have a hidden agenda of making it to either Mexico, Canada, or the US for the World Cup, but it starts with we supporting the team. The economic values are immense. You know, I know as journalists, some of us might travel to cover the game. Even in Ghana, some of us can make money as well. For the players themselves, their transfer value increase when we qualify to the World Cup, but they can't do it if, as Ghanaians, we are not supporting.
Indeed, they can't do it without the support and the rallying of the generality of the populace. And that is why those of you at home who love the sports, we always keep saying that as much as you may have your reservations, don't kill that spirit of patriotism. On that note, it's time to acknowledge once again that this program is brought to you by Christian Service University. And like we have been saying throughout the conversation, if you are interested in pursuing further studies after senior high school, or maybe you haven't done with your degree but you want to enhance, definitely that is the place to go. The number to call if you are interested in having a taste of their courses on offer. I'm talking about midwifery, business administration, communication, planning, and computer science, as well as nursing. 024-627-5375 or 024-015-4825 or 0244-596603. Alternatively, you can visit their website on www.csus.edu.gh. But just before we go, let me just bring you up to speed with the group as it stands now. Now, Ghana is in Group 1, and so Comoros is sitting on top of the group with 6 points. Ghana follow next with 6 points. Mali has 4. CAR has 4, Madagascar has 3, and Chad has 0. But don't forget that Comoros has a game in hand with Madagascar, and pending the outcome, the Black Stars will either remain at the second spot or perhaps they may ascend, depending on the outcome of, I understand it's this evening's fixture, right, exactly at 4 p.m. That game will be coming on. Of course, if you are wearing a Black Stars jersey or you're somebody who supports the team, you'll be praying that Charlie, let Comoros actually lose. We understand it's just 43 minutes, away from that all-important fixture. But thank you very much, Eugene Ofori-Soti. He's a sports pundit as well as an analyst. He joined us here in studio. Felix Rumark is more into data where sports analysis is concerned. He joined us via Zoom. He is an aficionado of the IUs. He believes that, hey, don't touch them. 𝗧𝗵𝗲𝗡, former colleague at the multimedia group. He's a sports journalist with Inshira FM as well as Love FM. At home and all of you who listened, thank you very much. Ding Senior Fair Addison, I understand that he's a young man, somebody I know personally who wants to venture into sports journalism. He's been watching from home as well. My name is Kwesi Schandorf. We'll meet again on Monday. Bye-bye.